On a numbers game, the right data changes everything, and the data behind Shopify is hard to argue with. Millions of businesses worldwide run on it, including our own VSiN store. When we launched, Shopify's templates and AI tools got us live fast. Professional looking from day one. No tech background needed. Shopify checkout converts more customers and makes it easy for returning fans to come back and buy again in a single click. Shopify's built-in AI assistant Sidekick is there whenever you need help, building, troubleshooting, or just figuring out your next move. Check out what we built at vsin.com/store. Then go build something of your own. All you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. That's shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
July the 13th be with you on a Monday morning. Welcome on into a numbers game. I am Dustin Sweetelson filling in for Gil Alexander. That is Kelly Bidlin.
Hey,
we got you here for the next 3 hours on VSiN, the sports betting network. It is a very unique show, I would say.
Yeah, man. It's a unique time of year.
We are in a special time of the sports calendar, and we are being bailed out by the World Cup. However, not today. Not today, my friend. We have a lot to get to. The MLB All-Star break is here. We'll look ahead to the second half. Most notably for me, I think there is a market that has completely opened up in the last few weeks here. More on that to come. It is the slowest day in sports, as they like to say, which means LeBron watch. Could we get some news today as the markets don't know what they're doing? They just keep fluctuating with fake news, real news.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to be spicy and take some chances, you might be able to make some money. And also the World Cup semifinal. It is set. France, Spain, Argentina, England. We'll cover all of that and more throughout the program. But it's very rare we open up a show, Kelly Bidlin, and the top headline stories, for me at least, is going to be UFC, Wimbledon, tennis, and Tom Kim. I know when Gil's normally here, Wimbledon is the star of the show for as long as it's I had no idea the event was as long as it was.
Fortnight?
Why did I think Wimbledon was like a week and a half, 2 weeks? I feel like this has been going on for a month.
They're all 2 weeks.
Is it?
Yeah, all the Grand Slams are 2 weeks.
I feel like I filled in for you like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we were talking about Wimbledon.
We might have been talking about grass season just getting started.
Maybe that's what it is. If there's grass on the field, I will not finish that sentence. But in case you missed it yesterday, Jannik Sinner, he beats Zverev in the Wimbledon final 6-7, 7-6, 6-3, 6-4. I was on the air for live bet or a ready set bet yesterday with Mike Somich. And as we hit the air, Zverev actually took the first set.
Yep.
And immediately this price just dropped to minus 155. Mike jumped in on Sinner. Sinner was minus 513 before the event began. Or not the event, before the final began. Zverev was plus 374. All of a sudden, we're one set in, and Zverev wins the first one. You get a huge discount on Sinner, and that's the beauty of live betting, people. Now, it doesn't always work, but you can get a discount on a favorite. And the way I always like to phrase it, Kelly, it's in football season. If you like a favorite, but you think the number's a little too steep, the underdog begins the game with the football. They march down the field, 80-yard drive, knock off a big chunk of time, 7-minute drive. They go up 7-0. Well, now you can come back and you get your discounted price on the favorite who you liked at a little bit more palatable number. That's exactly what went down yesterday with Sinner winning the Wimbledon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a good comp. I think for every sport, there's kind of the different live betting comp, right? We always do it with basketball. The dog goes out and they're shooting 80% from three in that first quarter. Yeah, you're going to get a bit of a discount on that price. And guess what? Shooting regression is probably going to come into play. Yeah, great final, great Wimbledon final. I don't know about you. Me and you rarely talk about tennis, but this is when you get star-studded matchups like this. I was locked in. I was locked in watching the Scottish Open in Wimbledon for hours yesterday morning.
My mom told me I'm not supposed to lie, but I'll tell you this. If I wasn't on the air, I wasn't going to be watching.
Okay. But you were on the air. You're live betting it. All right.
I got in trouble last time I said this, and people were in my DMs and mentions, and they were very rude to me. But there's no look. I played tennis growing up when I was a much thinner man, and I enjoyed playing it for fun. I went to a tennis camp for a while. I'm not knocking the sport,
tennis camp,
but
cool.
growing up to me, the people who played tennis were the people who couldn't make the real sports teams. No offense. Like, no offense. If you were playing tennis.
Wait, was this the sport he said this about last time?
It was golf,
here,
I think,
Danny?
last time.
I was going to say he's switching sports too. Wow.
It's golf. It's tennis and golf. If you didn't make the baseball team, you didn't make whatever other team that you were trying out for, you went, you know what? I'm gonna join the golf team. They don't cut anybody. I'm gonna join the tennis team. They're desperate for bodies.
Yeah. I could corroborate this for tennis at my high school. It was the same case.
But-
It was anybody who didn't play sports or couldn't make the sport they wanted to play.
But it also depends where you grew up. Like, you guys do country clubbing
Yep.
here, right? And there's a reason you call it that, because there's certain people who grow up a certain way and they wind up playing those sports. I'm not saying they're less athletes. I'm not saying they're not spectacular and they're at the top of their class in what they do. I'm just stuck in a way, still at 41 years old, on high school mentality of, I remember who played tennis around me growing up, and it's the people who got cut in the final cuts from the baseball team.
I'll tell you, once we get to clay and grass, though, man, like those are there were multiple moments yesterday where I'm just watching Jannik Sinner hit a shot and slide horizontally across this grass, right? And even like jam his foot, and I'm like, I'd be dead. Like, I'd be in a hospital. There's no way I could make that kind of slide and hit that shot.
Sheriff hurt his knee yesterday.
Yeah.
And that was an issue for him. Now Sinner was already coming back in fine form and looked like he was in command of the matchup. But look, tennis, I'm not trying to knock it right now. I understand everyone getting into it. And here's what I would say. If we're going to talk sports bucket list events, because I've been to football games, I've been to, big time baseball games, I've been to World Series. If we're talking about straight up events, I think Wimbledon's got to be top 5 that you want to go to because of the history, because of kind of the snootiness, everyone wearing all white. You're in jolly old England where everyone's got a stick up their rear. I'm kind of into it. I want to experience the uniqueness of a Wimbledon.
So Gil and I have talked about this multiple times before. I'm not nearly as big of a tennis fan as him, but there are tennis grand slams. U.S. Open, French Open, Wimbledon are definitely all on that bucket list for me, and probably rank higher than a lot of golf tournaments that people would probably think I would care about more.
That's my thing. I think
have you been to the U.S. Open?
No, I have not.
Okay.
But I think you could, because I just value my time, and I'm not going to watch one guy shoot one hole over and over again or follow one guy around the course.
No, I meant tennis.
Oh, no, tennis. No. But here's what I would say. You and Gil are the perfect example. You guys should just dig in, get into the argument. If you can go to one event, the Masters or Wimbledon, which I think it's 50-50. I think people are going to be way more split just because there's so much history involved in both of the events.
Okay, so I feel like I'm obligated to say I have to say Masters, but I agree with a lot of people that say Masters is good once and then I'm good. I don't need to go back. They take your phone. There are some negatives at the Masters, man.
But it's so hard to get in.
Yes.
That's the problem. It's such an exclusive club to get in and go watch an event. It's probably easier to get a ticket to the moon than it is the Masters these days.
Oh, probably.
Like Jeff Bezos will finance half of it. He sent Katy Perry out into space. Speaking of golf, let's go over to the Scottish Open. Tom Kim, 17 under. He wins it. Bogey-free 64 on Sunday for the 24-year-old. 4 PGA Tour wins for him now. 3 major top 10s. When you see what Tom Kim's doing, I know he's been a darling of this analytic community for a little bit here, but it seems like at 24, he is very much a threat week in and week out. Do you anticipate his pricing changing a lot down the road?
Oh, man, that's a great question. I think for the rest of this season, he would have to keep up, I don't know, not this pace, obviously not winning every week, but he's going to have to put some better results out there. I think the beginning of the season was kind of up and down and sketchy for Tom Kim. Really had been coming together here recently. We talked about it last week. I had a top 20 on him. I know Wes had some placement bets on him, too. We're going to talk to him later in the show about the British Open. This is a course. I think the biggest takeaway from this tournament for me, Dustin, is this course, and we talked about it last week, is the predictive nature of this tournament. And we've only seen it for 6 years now on the PGA Tour, where it's been a split between the PGA and DP World Tour event. You keep seeing some of these guys that are finishing up there on the leaderboard keep doing it every time they go back, and Tom Kim's one of them. So it's just, that was the biggest note for me coming out of this tournament. We went into it kind of betting it that way. It was a good betting tournament. Rory top 10s were nice. Got the top 20 home on Tom Kim. Had some unlucky losers in there too. But yeah, Tom Kim, look, stellar talent. 4 wins by 24 is tough to do. But
yeah.
I did make the one betting mistake that you shouldn't make with Tom Kim. If you're going to bet Tom Kim, you bet him outright because he's one of the rare guys that actually goes out there and wins tournaments, or he just falls flat on his face usually.
60-1 I saw out there for Tom Kim to win this event. He ends up cashing for those who are spicy enough to go deep down the board. Top 20 around, what did he pay out for that?
I had plus 270 on that.
Yeah, at that point, you might as well just take just a little nibble on that. Just a little, just to say you had it. I always say this when it comes to long shots. You hit one or two at that number at 60-1, all of a sudden it pays for a lot of your mistakes.
No, totally.
That's how I view it.
This is what things we love talking about on long shots, though, right? How do you construct a golf betting card?
But that's the problem. If you're going to bet the outright on everyone, you bet top 20. Well, then you're going to lose all your money.
That and I had Rory McIlroy 10-1. Right, so how do you construct an outright card, and how much are you willing then to expand beyond that when you have a 10-1 on your card?
Well, someone over at Polymarket on Saturday, right before a big fight in the UFC 329 event, threw about $900,000, I believe, on Conor McGregor. I saw another one for over $400,000 on Conor McGregor.
How'd that work out?
And in case you missed it over the weekend, the fight lasted 69 seconds, and it was actually way shorter than that. Conor McGregor opens this thing up, trying to do some sort of like roundhouse flying kick, and then is unable to stand and maintain his footing for the rest of the event. Max Holloway wins. The ref has to call it, but the ref delayed calling it as long as humanly possible because there was a lot of money on the line for these guys. Conor did make $30 million for the event. And then Holloway at the end, the most out-of-touch reaction to this win, and I understand, like, we're human beings. We don't know how we're going to react to something until it actually happens. But to actually stand up there following the way Conor did not look healthy and losing, Holloway says, I guess we're going to get number 3. Let's all get a bunch of money, not factoring in that the entire crowd paid all of their money to watch them fight and unfortunately didn't get to watch them fight.
Yeah, it was a very, very quick fight. I don't know about you. This was one. I'm angry, man. It was a weekend of missed opportunities from a betting standpoint. Golf, we just went over. It was close but no cigar to a monster golf weekend, still a winning golf weekend. World Cup, we're gonna get to that, but close but no cigar to a monster betting weekend. And this was one we talked about this on Friday. I was prepared to be loaded up on Max Holloway because I thought we were going to see what we typically see here in Vegas on big fight nights and all this McGregor money come in. We didn't really see that. We saw that shift early at the end of last week where the odds went Conor's way, but they went back out Holloway's way mainly on Saturday. I was sitting there at Durango with Danny and some of the guys. I ended up laying off it. I really thought I was going to be on Holloway heavy.
And Conor, by the way, he claims nothing nefarious. He says he was fine up until the event. I actually believe him. I know there's a lot of internet sleuths doing the conspiracy thing. I'm not buying that. All right, we're going to talk World Cup later this hour. Dallin Cuff joins the program in about 35 minutes. Home Run Derby with a former participant, Brett Boone. Wes Reynolds checks in on the British Open, and we'll do a little MLB second half with VSiN managing editor Adam Burke. When we return, though, baseball's first half is done. What can we look at?
You're here because you want an edge. That's what separates listeners from winners. But let's be real, mindset alone doesn't get bets home. Pros win because they've got the tools, the data, and the discipline. And now so can you. VSiN Pro gives you access to the same real-time insights the sharps use. No secrets, no fluff, just actionable info that moves markets. Tap the link and see why serious bettors are turning knowledge into profit with VSiN Pro.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
No, I am not Gil Alexander. Dustin Sweetelson filling in for Gil all week here on a numbers game alongside the great Kelly Bidlin. The Bearded Brothers back together, better than ever. On one of my favorite days of the year on the sports calendar, I think about as a kid, Ken Griffey Jr., Camden Yards, off the warehouse in right field. Like that, to me, was the beginning of the obsession with the home run derby.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
That's what we get tonight. We get the home run derby. And to help us now break it down, we'll do a deep dive a little bit later on in the program in about 15 minutes. But to help us break it down is a guy who's performed in a couple of these and knows how difficult it is because you think going in it's going to go one way, can go the other, and there could be a surprise winner along the way. He is Brett Boone, former big leaguer, played a long time in Major League Baseball, 3-time All-Star, 4-time Golden Glove Award winner, 2-time Silver Slugger, over 250 home runs in his career. He's also got the Brett Boone podcast available wherever you get your podcast, and he joins us now here on A Numbers Game. So talk to me about this, Brett, because the mentality of the player, you want to shine, you have this golden opportunity where there's 8 guys in this event this year. You were in 2001. Luis Gonzalez won that in a year where you had 37 home runs to finish the year, 141 ribbies. And then 03 in the event when Garrett Anderson won, and a season where you hit 35 home runs in that season. But it didn't necessarily correlate to the home run derby, right? Just because you're good in the games doesn't mean it happens in the derby. So help us understand the mentality for the players today performing.
All right. First of all, there are so many variables when it comes to this home run derby. And back when I was doing it, I think that the players today are just much more aware, much more prepared. They actually work on home run derby. They have their pitcher is pre-planned. They know who's throwing to them. They've got everything lined up. I'm just assuming. I think they're just much more on top of things than we were. They go into it and they know what it is. 2001, I get invited to my first home run derby. It happens to be at my home field, Safeco at the time. I'm a kid in a candy shop. I'm thinking, that you have certain moments throughout your career, and my first home run derby, I'm like, heck yeah, I want to do it. It's an honor that I got to get invited with all these big sluggers. It's at my home field. I didn't prepare at all. And the one thing for us as hitters is normally when we're on the field hitting, we're hitting with that shell. We've got the cage over us. When you hit batting practice for the first time without a cage, it's different. It's a different feeling. It's a big open space. We're used to doing it in the game time when the pitcher's 60 feet away. But when you got a BP pitcher 40, 45 feet and you don't have the shell and it's obviously batting practice, it's a different animal. That being said, I go into it, and my thought was, whatever you do, don't embarrass yourself. You're at home. I didn't have any aspirations of winning. I could care less. I just wanted to save face, hit a couple home runs, let the crowd cheer, and move on. If I got on a roll, great. And I was competitive, great. But I didn't care about that. I just thought putting on a good show. Back then, the rules were different. It was 3 outs. The BP pitcher was essential. I happened to have mine, John McLaren, who was through batting practice to me every day that year in Seattle. So I knew he was a veteran. He wasn't going to get nervous. He was going to throw strikes. He did. And I hit 3. I hit a couple in the upper deck, got some cheers, did okay. Sammy Sosa hit 3. He was on the National League side that year. The rules back then were if you tie your competitor, they go to the tape. So they say, all right, who's got the most homers at the break? Well, Sammy had 29, 30, I forget. I had 22 or 24. Oh. So he moved on. Now, in my mind, you think I'd be heartbroken. No, I hit a couple balls in the upper deck. I got the greatest standing ovation ever. I'm good. I have no problem with it. Right. The crowd went crazy. They got pissed because I was the hometown guy. Move on. That being said, great experience for me. Now you go to round 2, 2003, Chicago. I don't prepare at all. I'm winging it at this point. I get my flight to Chicago, and I kind of start thinking about it. Like, I've got a home run derby. I don't have John McLaren. All right, I got to get Johnny here. I called Johnny late. Can you fly to Chicago? I'll take care of you and your family, put you up. I need you to throw BP. He said, Booney, I'm getting on a flight. We're going to Hawaii for the break. Okay, whatever. Good buddy of mine is at the Derby. He's doing some press there. Dave Valley, who was a teammate of mine. Everybody raves about him. Jason Giambi tells me, who was in that home run derby, says, Booney, hey, Valley throws great BP. We'll come to find out he throws great BP for a lefty. He's got a cutter. So I go out and I said, Val, let's warm up a little bit. Let's see if we have a cohesiveness, because that BP pitcher is important. He's cutting everything. I'm hitting rollover grounders. I said, this isn't going to work. I'm scrambling. Anyway, push comes to shove. I go out. I hit 0. I'm humiliated. I've never thought something like that. You could feel so bad. I heard it the whole second half of the season. My teammates ribbed me about it. And I just came up with an answer to any teammate that had something to say about it. I said, listen, try getting invited to one before you have a strong opinion. And we moved on from there. But it's like I said, that was back then. That was my experience. I was never a BP guy that would sit there and launch ball after ball. There are guys that can do it. I've had teammates that home run derby. I got some numbers you can call for some guys from my time. But I think that's what it comes down to. I think the rules have changed. I think it's more exciting. You get more swings. The pitcher's not as important. They've moved closer to the hitter. It's almost soft toss now. It's a show. That's what the fans want. But I think you'd have to ask the guys. Only the guys on the field right now know who the guys that are really good in BP and can launch. Because they're known. You hit with them every day at the before games, and you know who are the big guys. So as far as picking somebody, I don't know who to pick. I mean, all these kids today are so talented, so strong that anybody could win. But it's a matter of who prepared the most, and when that time comes, who can just sit there, lock in, and hit homer after homer after homer.
Brett Boone is our guest. 14 years, Major League Baseball, 3-time All-Star, 252 career home runs. And I said this last time I had you on the night show here on VSiN, the best right-handed bat flipper that ever was. Nobody ever flipped a bat better than Brett Boone after a home run. I vividly remember it. I copied it when I played slow pitch softball. That was the key. If I knew I had a no-doubter, I flipped it like Brett Boone from the right side. I know you said it's tough to pick one. I just want your opinion on these guys. If you could just choose one name that stands out to you tonight, I'll list them off right now.
Give me the list.
Schwarber, Kyle Schwarber's the favorite, 3-1. Junior Caminero from Tampa Bay is plus 425. Murakami from the White Sox is 5-1. Jack Caglione from the Royals is 7-1. Jordan Walker is 8-1 from St. Louis. Bryce Harper, home field advantage, 8-1. Ben Rice from the Yankees, 8.5-1. And Wilson Contreras from the Red Sox is 14-1.
I like two. Okay, I think for me, I'm taking Schwarber.
Yeah.
I'm taking Schwarber out of the gate. I think, and he's the favorite for a reason. I like Caminero from the Tampa Bay Rays, but my dark horse would be Caglione, the Kansas City Royals. There you go.
You know what? We're going to get into why that is a very, very sharp play in our next segment, because looking at I'm not a big advanced analytics guy here, but I did ask them, look into some of the data here, Brett. Caglione, in terms of hitting the ball hard and launch angle, and he's the young buck among this group, that does feel like a good angle for him tonight in the home run derby. All right, before we let you go, we got about 3 minutes left in the segment, though, Brett. I want to get your opinion on some stuff in Major League Baseball. Most notably, obviously, you're very aware of the New York Yankees and what's going on with them. Aaron Judge is out, but Cam Schlittler, he is the favorite for Cy Young. They have a lot on the line this year with a chance to represent the American League. They're still chasing down Tampa Bay. Right now, your top wild card team, 3 games back of the Rays. What do you envision for the Bronx Bombers here in the second half?
Well, I think the Yankees got off to a great start. First of all, look at the American League. It's one of the craziest years since I've been on this side, the media side. I've never seen more mediocre play than I have in the American League. And usually when you go on a trip, you say, oh, we got a tough road trip, or we've got a road trip where we can make some hay. I think you look at the American League, and everywhere you go, everybody's like, okay. There's not we got to go through it. It's going to be a tough series. We got to go through Boston. And then it's like Tampa Bay's been good from start to finish. The Yankees, without this recent 3 weeks, have been really good. They're starting to play a little bit better. But you look around, Chicago's better. I think Chicago's a feel-good story from a year ago. Mm-hmm. How they've been the doormat for a few years. All of a sudden, they got some young youth just kind of interjected into that city. They're playing great. Cleveland's always a tough team. Minnesota's tough. Detroit can pitch. Seattle, I thought, was going to run away with the West. And I thought, for me, on paper, before the season started, Seattle Mariners were the best team in the American League for me. They've been very disappointing to this point. That whole West is kind of a mediocre division. So it's very strange. I mean, who's going to make a move? What's strange about it is how everybody's just playing pretty average. But what's great about it, I think, from a fan's perspective is, man, the parity's pretty damn good here. You're sitting at the All-Star break, and if I had to, I can only eliminate 3 teams right now. It's the A's, Kansas City, and the Angels. I look at everybody else, and it's like, You're in this. Everybody's talking about the deadline and Scooble, and you hear this and that. Like, wait a minute. Everybody's right here. These next 2.5 weeks, as players, we're in that room going, let's put some pressure on our ownership to buy, not sell. And that's who the onus is on. Now, I think after the break, you play another 10 games, you're going to start to shape up and see who the buyers are, who the sellers are. But this is an important time. I think as far as your question about the Yankees, I still think they're really good. The best hitter on the planet, Aaron Judge, has been on the shelf for a while. Stanton hasn't played. But I think you've got that core pitching staff. Cole, you got Fried coming back, Rodon coming back, possibly Schmidt. I think they're tough. They're going to go out and get bullpen help at the break.
Brett,
or at the deadline.
Brett, thank you so much for doing that. This is exactly what we needed. The Brett Boone Podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. We will do more on the Home Run Derby. I've got one guy locked in tonight in my bets. Can we find a second?
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It's a numbers game. Dustin Sweetelson filling in for Gil Alexander all week here on the program. Appreciate you hanging out with us on Sirius XM Channel 158, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, and radio affiliates across the United States of God Bless America, as usual. Riding shotgun with Kelly Bidlin.
And Canada, Game Plus, shout out.
Oh, look at that. I didn't know I was
You're up in Canada too, buddy.
I am multicultural here.
Yeah, there you go. I guess, yeah. Sure, that
I
works.
guess, yeah.
Sure.
Well, they don't like when we influence them too much.
No,
Meanwhile,
they did not.
They took our soccer coach. It's no big deal. You got American controlling that. We have the Stanley Cup. I'm not making any friends north of the border
Yeah,
these days.
that stuff's
we won
not
the
really
gold medal in hockey.
Yeah, that stuff's not really making any sense, huh?
No, we're better at the one thing you care about. You better either change your priorities or get better at those sports.
Have our soccer coach though. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's also like a wild thing to outsource in the world of tariffs that we're living in. The thing that you want to export from America is soccer coaches.
Exactly.
Like when I think of the things that I would take from this society, that's probably bottom tier.
It's really far down there.
Yeah, like he did a good job with Canada, and I love his arrogance, how he never wants to come back, but it's not something we do very well.
Yeah, no.
That's all.
No.
That's all. All right. One thing we do well is handicap golf here on the network, and I get to be joined by two of the best to do it. They are the co-hosts of the Long Shots podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And joining us now is Kelly's co-host there, Wes Reynolds, VSiN writer. Check out his weekly articles breaking down the events at Wes Reynolds 1 on X is where you can find him. Let's look back, my friend, before we look ahead. And thanks for doing this today. Tom Kim with the win, 60-1 at the Scottish Open. What jumps out to you by the performance from a 24-year-old that when he's on, he's really on right now?
Well, first of all, we should have been playing the song from South Park, "Blame Canada," in that little intro here to the segment as kind of the background. But yeah, with Tom Kim and golf futures betting is all about timing. And I, of course, had horrible timing because I bet him a couple times this year, and he's, went 2.5 years without winning. But he had been getting consistent finishes. So, of course, I don't use him at the Scottish Open at Renaissance last week, and he wins by 2 shots. But, striped it, absolutely striped it. His approach shots were terrific. He kept it in good spots of the fairway where it's not just simply hitting the fairway. It's the accuracy where you need to control the trajectory and, go into kind of those firmish greens over there in Scotland, and he did a great job and kind of emerged from the pack over the weekend. So I understand why people like him this week. I never want to go too much into that, though, because that course is like less of a pure links than this week will be at Royal Birkdale, which is kind of one of the regular ones in the Rhoda. So it's a little bit different, and I think the greens actually are going to be a little bit faster than you typically see at most Open Championships.
Yeah, Wes, obviously we'll have our full long shots breakdowns throughout the week here. We'll be doing podcasts this afternoon and then also tomorrow in our regular time slot for everybody who's out there regularly who listens. Want to start with right there with you, though. We'll go into detail on the course and everything that everybody needs to know on the podcast, but just kind of the highlights. We get in the Open Rhoda, there is very, very different looking links courses that you can play on. What jumps out to you and that everybody just needs to know off the top about Birkdale?
This is probably one of the more fair ones, Kelly, in the fact that, I mean, if you want to call it an outlier, you certainly can. Yeah. But like some of these places you get like really weird bounces, because the terrain is totally different. Carnoustie is just like a punishing course where, it plays a little bit more like a US Open where it's like, okay, you take your medicine and you make par. I think that this is a pretty straightforward course. You have the wind, obviously it's exposed because, it's links. So it's more of an open course. And I don't think it's as random, I guess, as you would see some of the other Open Championships in the past. So kind of straightforward. I think, like, if you're doing any stat modeling this week, you may not need to go all that knee deep in the weeds necessarily here. It might be a lot of the basic categories, approach, good drives, things like that. And that's what you're going to want to use this week, I think. So Birkdale, pretty straightforward course. It certainly can be scoreable if the weather is going to comply, but not a lot of weird, like funky bounces on your approaches or on your tee shots here. So it's basically just, you hit well, you hit it straight, and you hit it as long as you can. You don't have to be super long, but hit it straight and hit it accurate, and you're going to get rewarded.
Wes Reynolds is our guest. Podcast is Long Shots, available wherever you get your podcast, breaking down golf every week. Kelly joins him. Matt Brown joins him on the show as well every single week. And looking at the odds this week, Wes, where I'm sure this is going to be a hot topic for you guys, Scotty Scheffler is 6-1. That is certainly a more palatable price than you normally get from the best golfer in the world. I looked at it and I said, they're daring me. They want me to take it, which always is a dangerous game to play with the book. What do you think of the number posted 6-1 on Scheffler to win this thing?
I think it's probably fair, Dustin, because of the fact that he hasn't won in several months. Now, he hasn't been bad. Actually, last week at Renaissance was the first time he had missed the cut since, I think, like 4 years. Yep. Now, keep in mind, these are no-cut events, but that's still really impressive to be that consistent. And even on your off weeks, finish like top 25. So you're seeing it even drift a little bit further. I'm just kind of perusing around.
Shop around
the
for
market.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. And I've seen some 750 actually out there, which, and I thought if Rory would have won last week, and he certainly made a run on Sunday after Saturday went awry for him. If Rory would have won, I thought you would have had co-favorites. I see like a 750 at BetMGM on Scotty and an 850 on Rory. And Rory, of course, has not been playing a lot this year. He's been taking more weeks off, and he says it's working out for him. But he's been skipping some of these events and maybe focusing just more on the majors because I think he knows that that's what his legacy is now that he won the career Grand Slam. So you have the two big guns at the top, the defending Open champion Scheffler and McIlroy, and then you get that drop-off where you get kind of that second group of Fleetwood and Fitzpatrick and Jon Rahm and the like. So I think it's fair, the adjustment on Scotty here a little bit, because he's been good, but he hadn't quite been the elite good he's been the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. The Scheffler number and outright betting with Scheffler has been a big time topic over the past couple months, and rightfully so. And there's a trickle down effect here, right? Right, Wes? I mean, we're talking about, you compared him to Rory, but you look at the rest of the board. The one that's jumping out to me, Jon Rahm shop around on DraftKings 16-1, MGM he's 22-1. I mean, the last time we've seen Jon Rahm in the mid-20s has been quite a while. Is there anybody? We're going to do our normal course research, stat research, put together our models. We'll run that stuff. I think last major of the year, I texted you this yesterday. Last major of the year, there's a couple guys I've just kind of got in mind that have done well for me this year, are peaking right now. I think I'm going to bet. Probably, and I'm looking at Matt Fitzpatrick, Chris Goddard. Let's see where these guys' numbers land at. But is there anybody on this board, whether it's a Scheffler, whether it's a Rahm, whether it's a Tommy Fleetwood? I'll leave it open-ended. You can pick whoever you want. Is there someone that you're saying, I'm going to wait and see where this price gets out to, because if it hits X number, it's a bet on for me?
Yeah, and Kelly, by the way, what you mentioned there, I think is actually a good strategy that I wish I would, kind of follow a little bit more, because it's like sometimes the guys that you bet, and if they don't get there right away, it's like, okay, you're love them and leave them. And that's like what I did with Tom Kim last week. And I'm certainly having a little bit of remorse for that. But Colin Morikawa, to me, if this drifts a little bit more, because it does remind me a little bit of Spieth when he won here in 2017 at Birkdale. They're top 10. He's a top 10 player in the world. won earlier in the year, contended in his last start, did not play the Scottish last week. And I believe the last 4 winners, by the way, short-term trend here, have won the Open the following week that played the Scottish. But that's not like a really long-term trend. Also, at Royal St. George, he won just like, Spieth contended. So that could be a guy that I think you look at here, because we've kind of been waiting for him to win like another big one. He had the injury, and then they had a baby in late May, he and his wife. So, you've kind of been waiting for him to emerge, and he's played consistently well. Like, he kind of lurked there at the U.S. Open, even though he wasn't really right there. So Colin Morikawa, you're seeing drift up. Cameron Young has kind of cooled off from his hot pace, and now you're seeing some 35-1 on him. This is a guy that won the Players. This is a guy that won the Miami Championship down at Doral in a signature event. So you're kind of seeing a little bit of drifts there. One guy I was looking for was Sam Burns, but he may be a withdrawal because they have a baby due. So that's something that you want to, try to,
see on your radar.
Go down every crevice to find the information that you can there. But those are the guys in the mid-range that kind of stood out to me.
Wes, 20 seconds, home run derbies tonight. It's a dart throw. It's an educated dart throw. Who would you put your money on?
I want my guy, Kyle Schwarber, my fellow Indiana Hoosier, but I think it's going to be Junior Caminero, who has experience last year from the Tampa Rays, second, third choice on the board. Patient hitter, and you got to be patient now in this home run derby, by the way. This isn't just, okay, get as many hacks as you can in a 2-minute clock. So I think you get 20 the first round, 15 the second. I may be off on the numbers, but they changed the format. But Tampa Bay Rays, if you watch them, they're about the most patient hitters in the league. They will take plenty of pitches, so maybe Caminero, the home run hitter, will follow suit.
He's Wes Reynolds. Read him, vsin.com, with the weekly article breaking down the Open this week.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
With the great Kelly Bidlin, my name is Dustin Sweetelson, filling in here for Gil Alexander all week long on a numbers game. Thanks for hanging out with us. Sirius XM Channel 158, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, radio affiliates across the United States of God Bless America, and somewhere in Canada, according to Kelly Bidlin.
Yeah, Canada, Game Plus. What's up?
Game Plus, what's up? All right. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Today, I should say. I'm used to doing night shows. Can you tell?
Yeah, well, welcome. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Whoa, that alarm clock reminded me. I wasn't sure if it was morning or night when it went off. Oh, that's where I was at today. And I'm excited to talk to our next guest. He is the dude that does all the hard work here. He has to put together this stuff. Most importantly, when we have a betting guide, he has to interpret Paulie Howard's typing.
He has to track down everybody.
And make it the English language for people to be able to read at home. He is VSiN's managing editor, Adam Burke, at Skating Tripods. You can find him on X, and he joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Berkey, thanks for doing this, buddy. It's great to see you. Before we get into the baseball and the home run derby, I just want to look back on the VSiN NFL betting guide. It is out right now. It is absolutely fantastic. I loved it. And I keep hyping up Will Hill's write-up for Coach of the Year. Like, that's the one that I went, yeah, I'm going to be in on this. I've been on it in years past. Looking deeper down the board for a Coach of the Year candidate, you have to actually check out the guide to find out who I'm talking about. Was there a write-up that you read in preparation that you went, you know what? That wasn't on my radar, but now I'm kind of thinking about this angle?
Well, that's a really good question. Good to be with you guys here this morning. And yeah, with Paulie, his caps lock key is stuck.
It's been stuck for 10 years.
In all caps,
on every device.
Which is just fantastic.
The first month I worked with him as his producer, I thought he was yelling at me every day. And then Mitch was like, no, he just types in caps lock. Nobody knows why. Also, fun fact about Paulie Howard, you'll go, hey, do you have this person's number? He won't open his phone. He'll go 702-838-1011. And you're like,
what?
What? I swear to God.
I've never seen that.
No, he does it all the time. Anyway, continue, Adam.
Yeah, all right. That's incredible about Paulie, though, because I was just having a conversation with Stormy this morning about how, like, I don't know any of my passwords, just like I don't know any phone numbers of the people that are in my life, just because everything gets stored now digitally. So good for Paulie for knowing those things. Yeah, I mean, there was a few different things in looking at the NFL betting guide. And again, as you said, it's out. It's available to VSiN Pro subscribers. College football betting guide will be Monday, August 3rd, by the way. There were a lot of great nuggets, in the guide. But I agree with you about Will Hill's Coach of the Year write-up. And, Coach of the Year is just such an interesting market to look at where, especially with the number of new coaches we have in the NFL this year, usually it goes to a first-year guy who orchestrates a really big turnaround, something like that. But there are guys that, we've seen a lot of teams do the worst to first thing over the last 20 plus years in the NFL. There are some second and third year guys that have a chance to really make a big push, or even some veteran guys. So I think it's one of the many great articles in this guide. Also, the other thing that really, really struck me is how people are just selling Patriots stock left and right. I mean, everybody's seemingly on the Bills to win the AFC East. And I get it. I understand why. Patriots played one of the worst schedules we've seen in a very long time last year. But I'm surprised to see just how overwhelming it is with people preferring Buffalo to New England in this year's guide.
And we're all in the Bengals, by the way. Again, we're all, I'm myself included. We're all ready to get our hearts broken. Here's my problem with it is I did it after believing last year for the first time. And the reason I did it this year was not just because of the way it shakes out for the Bengals, but more, I didn't want to be a year ahead of schedule. If I was right about where they were heading, if I was a year ahead of, I want a piece of it now, but now I'm ready to be 0 for 2 on the Bengals.
Yeah, this is. I mean, you had some things come into play last year. There's people that've been betting the Bengals for 5 straight years, and they keep thinking that same thing. So I hear you. All right, Adam, we're hitting home runs in Philadelphia tonight. Who's going to hit the most home runs?
Well, I think a lot of guys are going to hit a lot of home runs tonight. The weather looks great. This is a ballpark where the ball is traveling about 3 feet further on average compared to other ballparks. So we should see quite a show, quite a display of power here tonight in Philadelphia. I'm not going to go that far down the board with this one. He's the second favorite. I like Junior Caminero here. This is a better ballpark for lefties, so we'll see if that comes into play because Caminero is one of the right-handed hitters in this field, but guy just has vicious power, incredible bat speed. We do have a change in the rules in the format this year. As opposed to the timed rounds, you get 20 swings in the first round, 15 swings in the second round or the semifinals, and also the final round. So we won't have guys getting tired out or anything like that, but I do think guys will get impatient. So I do think that the pitcher is still very, very important in this competition. Caminero is going to have Tomas Francisco pitching to him. He pitched to him last year when he hit 44 home runs, pitched to Randy Arozarena back in 2023. He finished second. So Francisco's been pretty good in this competition, grooving balls to the hitters. And Caminero and Francisco probably been talking about this since last year, knowing that Caminero, because of his absurd power, would be back in this contest again this year. So I think Caminero is your guy here tonight, obviously on a tear throughout the month of June, carried that over into July here. And also just the power is prodigious for him. Not many wasted swings, I don't think. I think he's going to hit a lot of home runs tonight and eventually be your champion.
Kind of broke the nerves last year, too, where he's going to be a little bit calmer for the event in year number 2. He's Adam Burke, VSiN.com managing editor at Skating Tripods. You can find him on X. I'm a big Caminero guy. Last time I was on a numbers game filling in for Kelly, I gave him out 40-1 for AL MVP, and that was literally right before he went on this tear. What do you want to do with some other plays, though, aside from the outright winner in the home run derby? I keep calling this thing an educated dart throw, Adam. I don't think there's like a super sharp way. I think you can make a case for everyone not named Wilson Contreras tonight, in my opinion. Not really sure how he ended up in the event. What do you want to do with Ben Rice? Second lowest shot on the board. I thought about him being my second along Murakami as my outright plays. You can get Ben Rice as high as 10-1. You want to back him in a couple different ways, though.
Yeah, Ben Rice, he's not a guy who hits the prolific tape measure home runs, but he's got a lot of line drive power, and sometimes that can be really valuable in this contest. You think about a guy like Garrett Anderson, who won it back in the 2000s. Bobby Abreu had a really good showing as a line drive type of power guy. Ben Rice kind of has that here, and his launch angle sweet spot percentage, according to StatCast, ranks in the 89th percentile. So he's a guy who hits a lot of balls at optimized launch angles. So it's not like he has to alter his swing plane, alter his path, or anything like that. He's hit 29 home runs so far this season, already surpassed last year's total. The one thing that concerns me a bit about him, his dad is pitching to him. That's always a big worry when it's not a guy who throws regular BP to you throughout the course of the season or in the off season, something like that. But because it's no longer a timed round and it's just about swings, I think that kind of, to some degree, mitigates that effect a little bit. Like I said, I think guys will get impatient. But Ben Rice is a guy that very selective, walks a lot, a guy who just kind of knows where his zones are and has that pull that power to the pull side, with kind of some line drives that, I think can get out here tonight. So I like Ben Rice over 9.5 home runs in the first round. I like him in a head-to-head matchup against, Wilson Contreras. I like him in a head-to-head matchup against Jack Caglione as well. And I think to make the semifinals is a good bet for Ben Rice. I don't know if he could win this thing because I do think the nerves really show up, especially if you're a dad pitching to your kid, the deeper we get into this competition. But I think he's a guy that can hit a good amount of home runs tonight because he's got the proper swing plane and really pulls a lot of baseballs.
Yeah, Adam, I had great notes there on the swings and with the format change and everything. Anything else with the format changing? Any other bets that are jumping out to you, whether it's totals or anything like that you think that format change could affect?
Yeah, so I like distance of the longest home run over 484.5 feet. This one's at DraftKings, and guys aren't going to tire themselves out as much because in 3 minutes you're trying to swing it at as many pitches as possible, right? With a finite number of swings, you're going to be selective, but you're also not going to tire yourself out a ton. Like I mentioned earlier, ball's been carrying really well at Citizens Bank Park this season. The park factor over the last 3 years for left-handed hitters is very, very high. A lot of that has to do with Kyle Schwarber and the ridiculous amount of power that he has. But I think somebody's going to get to 485 or better here. We'll see. Baseball, people have been saying the ball's a little bit juiced. The drag's been reduced on the ball this season compared to previous seasons. Maybe that's something that helps a little bit here as well. But just so many guys with tremendous bat speed in this year's field that they're going to really make some violent contact. And I think we see a 485 plus home run, maybe 2, maybe 3 tonight in the Home Run Derby, exclusively on Netflix this year, no longer on ESPN.
Well, I wonder why Netflix was the choice to condense the timing. It feels like because it's a streaming service, they were the one that I would have went a little bit longer with. Yeah. It's where it feels like the regular TV broadcast would have wanted to be shorter. Either way, Adam, thanks for doing this, buddy. We look forward to the college football betting guide. What was the anticipation of that date? August what? I heard you say it last week.
Yeah, Monday, August 3rd for our college football betting guide. And then also we'll do our post-preseason NFL 2.0 betting guide Monday, August 31st. Okay. So a lot more best bets from the hosts, updates on, what kind of happened throughout the preseason and training camp and all of that. So 2 big guides coming up in August. Great time to become a VSiN Pro subscriber.
Just got to finalize my notes on Western Kentucky, and then I'll have that one over to you, Adam, okay?
It's not that far away, boys. It's really not.
Boys, I couldn't sleep last night, so there I am at 3 a.m. writing up Conference USA team previews. So
yeah, dude,
I'm committed.
There's
to the
Adam Burke
VSiN College Football Betting Guide.
He lives that life so you don't have to. Makes your life easier. At Skating Tripods on X. Check out all the work at VSiN.com. Appreciate the time, buddy.
Have a good one, boys.
All right, we'll go back and examine the Home Run Derby when we return. Who are the guys throwing the pitches? We'll share that, plus some of the numbers that jumped out coming up next on A Numbers Game.